Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Scorebook Stories. And with the MLB Pipeline releasing their top 100 prospects of 2025, I figured we'd dive into what the future of the MLB will look like. I sound a little weird today. It's because I'm fighting through a cold. Have a little bit of a fever right now, but it is what it is. It's all good. Got to get out on the field and play every day if we want to beat Cal Ripken Jr.'s Iron Man record, you know? Yeah, not feeling the greatest, but we have a lot of really great and interesting ball players that we're going to talk about here today. And I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to touch on the top five at each position and kind of go in depth on a couple guys here and there throughout the entirety of the episode. But for the most part, we're just going to see what the future holds for a lot of these MLB teams and if these guys are going to end up playing in the MLB at their current position or if they're going to end up doing something else like this first guy that we're going to talk about, Jefferson Cuero, Milwaukee guy. He is estimated to be in the MLB this upcoming season at 22 years old. His 2023 AAA stats are 90 games played, a 262 batting average, a 339 OBP, 88 hits, 16 home runs, and 59 RBIs. That's a pretty solid stat line in AAA over 90 games. But he suffered a torn labrum in his right shoulder on a dive back to first in his International League debut back in March. So he underwent surgery that forced him out for the entirety of 2024. So hopefully he'll be able to get back on the field this year, but Milwaukee is probably going to limit his play a lot to just DHing. I don't see him being a catcher this upcoming season. So Jefferson Cuero, the number 5 ranked catcher in the MLB pipeline, offensively still has a lot of great power, compatible with pulling homers to left field or slicing doubles the opposite way when needed. I think he's a really good ball player, but uh, for his MLB debut or MLB full time status, it's probably going to be a lot in the DHing role this upcoming season. Next, we have Ethan Salas, 18-year-old for the San Diego Padres, the number 4 ranked catcher. Estimated ETA is 2027. In high A, he had 111 games played, a 206 batting average, 288 OBP, 85 hits, 2 home runs, and 53 RBIs. Now, he's the number 1 ranked international player in 2023, but Salas opened up the age 17 season in A ball. I really think he's going to end up being a very remarkable catcher in the MLB. I do not see him making his MLB debut anytime soon. I think the ETA of 2027 is pretty realistic for Ethan Salas, an 18-year-old in A ball right now. He's trying to learn how to be a pro. He's working through a lot of different things. He's trying to become a better all-around ball player, and I think that's something that the Padres are going to be able to have success with him at. Even though he had a pretty down year at the plate, his defensive skills are still unbelievable. Number 3 is Kyle Teal for the Chicago White Sox, and actually he is very recently in the Chicago White Sox system. He was with Boston, reached Double A at the end of his pro debut, and Triple A at the end of 2024. There, he was then traded to the White Sox as the best of 4 prospects traded for Garrett Crochet at the winter meetings in December. Teal has a 288 batting average, 386 OBP, 123 hits, 13 home runs, 78 RBIs. Like he's a real good ball player. Defensively, I think he has the potential to be one of the top catchers in the MLB. His ETA is 2025, so we could end up seeing him in Chicago wearing a White Sox uniform at some point this season. I think with his being a left-handed batter and with the amount of power he has, I think he is probably going to look to be providing about 15 to 20 home runs a year. Pretty solid guy at the plate, and at 22 years old, he's still young and he still has a lot of developing to go through, but I think he could be a solid addition to the Chicago White Sox this upcoming season. The second ranked catcher in the MLB pipeline is Dalton Rushing, Los Angeles Dodgers, 271 batting average, 384 OBP, 114 hits, 26 home runs, and 85 RBIs across AA and AAA last season. He's a really well-rounded hitter. He has a short, quick, left-handed approach, very balanced, very patient at the plate. I think Dalton Rushing is going to be very good, and the fact that he also plays outfield, I think, is what is going to allow him to potentially make a already stacked Los Angeles Dodgers roster. The Dodgers are going to be a tough team for any prospect to make their way onto the field for. I really think their prospects are going to struggle a little bit. They're going to have homegrown guys that are a little bit older by the time they get into the league because of uh, where their roster's at right now. I don't think the Dodgers really need a lot of help at specific positions. Dalton Rushing, I think, will be a solid backup for Will Smith coming into this season. It should he make the MLB roster for opening day. But Dalton Rushing also plays the outfield, and I think that's going to help him as well. He could be a fourth or fifth outfielder for them and get behind the plate on days where they want to give Will Smith a day off, give him a little bit of a break, or DH him to get him some at bats at the major league level. I think Dalton Rushing is going to end up being a good all around ball player for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't foresee a lot of DH days for Dalton Rushing because they have Shohei Ohtani on the Dodgers, but should Ohtani get injured or should they just want to give him a day off, I think Dalton Rushing could see some DH games as well. But for the most part, I think he's probably going to be a rotating outfielder or a backup catcher or both should he make the opening day roster. And the number one catching prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, is Samuel Bastillo from Baltimore. He has an ETA of 2025. He's 20 years old, and he also plays first base, which I think is where we are going to actually end up seeing him in the MLB should he make the Orioles opening day roster. I think we're going to see Bastillo at the DH or first base position because of Adley Rutschman being absolutely dominant. And I think that is something that every team falls into every now and then. I think every single MLB team falls into a situation occasionally where they're going to have a stud prospect, but they have a stud at the position that can play 100 plus games, way more than that, 120 plus games, 130 plus games. It's kind of tough sometimes, but I think with Bastillo coming up and being so successful at the catching position defensively, he had a pretty good year at the plate, in my opinion. But from what I've seen of him previously before last season, it was slightly a down year. He had a 278 batting average, 341 OBP, 133 hits, 19 home runs, and 65 RBIs across AA and AAA last year. He's climbing the ladder pretty quickly. But with, like I said, with the Orioles having Adley Rutschman behind the plate, do they need another number one guy? I don't think so. I think if the Orioles are committing to Bastillo being a catcher, they're going to end up leaving him in AAA, and he's not going to see the MLB roster this upcoming season. Rutschman's still relatively young. He's going to handle the backstop for a very long time in Baltimore, and that's just one of the unfortunate situations for guys like Samuel Bastillo and Dalton Rushing. Dalton Rushing is behind Will Smith, who's an all-star. He's a stud. There's not much we can really do about it, you know? So I really think that Bastillo being able to play first base is going to help him make the Baltimore Orioles lineup for this upcoming season. I think he's going to see some time at first base. He'll end up getting behind the dish when they want to give Rutschman a day off, and they might even DH Bastillo a little bit because he does have a pretty successful bat. He has a very good swing. It's quick. He is able to draw a good amount of walks, and he played really well in the Futures game not too long ago. But defensively, he does have a cannon for an arm. He is very good, and he moves very well for a 6'4" catcher. Not a lot of 6'4" catchers move as well as this guy does. So I think he's going to have some success at the MLB level, either in Baltimore as a first baseman, or if the Orioles decide that they want to try to move him for another player that's established or more prospects at positions that they may need help in down the line. Next, we're going to move over to first base, where the number 5 prospect is Trey Morgan for Tampa Bay. ETA is 2026. He's a 22-year-old, and he also plays a little bit of outfield, which is going to help him a lot. Tampa Bay is one of those organizations I think that really preaches versatility on their young guys. They have a lot of young prospects that are in A, double A, high A right now that they will start at multiple positions. If they draft a shortstop, they're going to play him at third. They're going to play him at second. They may throw him to the outfield for a couple games just to find what spot he actually is going to work the best at when it comes to his time to get up onto the major league roster. I think Tampa Bay has done a very good job at developing prospects in this way to create versatility. And Trey Morgan is no exception, if I'm being honest. He had over 100 games played in A, high A, and double A. He had a 324 batting average, 408 OBP, 121 hits, 10 home runs, 68 RBIs. Like, he's very good. He has a very balanced approach, covers plenty of the plate, and when he gets into a two-strike count, he spreads out wide, eliminates a pretty high leg kick that he has with his batting stance to a little more of a short to the ball approach, and he's very good. 11% strikeout rate was the 7th lowest among 628 minor leaguers with at least 400 plate appearances in 2024. So Trey Morgan does not strike out. He does not like to strike out, and he does everything he can not to strike out. He puts the ball in play because if you just put the ball in play, good things will happen. And from LSU to Tampa Bay, anyone who has watched Morgan's soft hands and quick reactions at first base, it really is just screaming future Gold Glover. Honestly, it is. He's very good and he's very reliable over at first base. So I think that's going to end up being his future in Tampa Bay. But with his ability to go out into right field, left field, center field, and play a couple games there as needed, that's going to help him reach the MLB roster sooner. His ETA is 2026, but I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an MLB debut during September call ups for the 2025 season. Next up, also in Tampa Bay, is Xavier Isaac. His ETA is also 2026. He's 21 years old, and he had 102 games played, got a 264 batting average, a 370 OBP, 97 hits, 18 home runs, and 78 RBIs across high A and double A. He's another left-handed first baseman. Definitely relies a little bit more on the power stroke, in my opinion. I think he tries to hit a couple more home runs, and he has the ability to do it. And he's just very, very good. Has a lot of loud exit velocity, routinely above 95 miles per hour, and occasionally above 110. So he's got a lot of pop. He's probably going to end up being a first base DH kind of guy when he gets into the MLB. But I think with Trey Morgan being as versatile and defensively sound, I think he's going to end up seeing more time at first base should both of these guys end up being in the MLB at the same time. Next, we have Nick Kurtz, who's in the A's system, 21-year-old, 368 batting average, 520 OBP, 14 hits, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs across AA and AAA, 6'5" left-handed hitter. He's going to be a stud. I really think he's going to be very, very good. He's an excellent defender who moves around really, really well over at first with he has about an average arm, but I'm not too concerned with arm strength when it comes to first baseman. If I'm being completely honest, as long as they're accurate, I'm not super concerned when it comes to arm strength. First basemen don't throw the ball all that often because usually the plays coming to them. But so you still got to be able to throw the ball. but it's about average. It's nothing fancy, nothing special. But I think he should be able to move on to the A's pretty quickly. And based on the way the A's organization, unfortunately, has looked over the past few years, don't be surprised if you end up seeing Nick Kurtz on an MLB field this season, even though his ETA is 2026. Next up, we have the number 2 prospect in the MLB pipeline. That is Bryce Eldridge from the San Francisco Giants system. ETA is 2026, so 20 years old, and despite his youth, he has produced better exit velocities than most minor leaguers do. He is very good at hitting the ball, solid left-handed hitter, and last season had a 291 batting average, 374 OBP, 130 hits, 23 home runs, 92 RBIs across A, high A, double A, and triple A. So he's moving up very, very quickly, and he's proving to be very reliable at first base. He did have a little bit of a rough introduction to first base in 2024, committing 18 errors in 100 games, but he has a stronger arm than most at his position and displayed 92 to 96 miles per hour when it came to fastball and a low 80s slider as an amateur because originally he was going to try to come into the league as a two-way player. So he can pitch. I think seeing his stat line through 2024, the Giants have committed to making him a first baseman and keeping him at first base. He's probably going to remain in AAA for the entirety of 2025, strictly to work on his defensive development. I think his bat is definitely MLB ready. I think he could come onto the Giants and DH for them this season. But I really think he's going to end up sticking around in AAA, play a full season at AAA, and really fine tune his defensive ability. And the number 1 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, for first baseman is Jack Caglione for the Kansas City Royals. ETA is 2026. He's 21 years old, played college ball for Florida, the Gators, and where he actually pitched quite a bit down there for the Florida Gators as well in the SEC. But across 29 games in high A, he had a 241 batting average, 302 on base percentage, 28 hits, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs. He was a solid two-way standout at Florida, hitting 68 homers combined over 2023 and 2024, while flirting with triple digits as a pitcher. He was able to throw hard and did so successfully. Also, his power is just unbelievable. It is arguably the best in the 2024 draft class as a left-handed slugger, maxed out with a 121.7 miles per hour exit velocity. That's unreal. And his max EV in the fall league was 117.3 miles per hour, which is the second best among batted balls measured by StatCast. He can hit the ball, and he can hit the ball hard. I think that 2026 is a solid ETA for Jack Caglione, but it's going to be dependent on what he can do for a full season in the Royals minor league system. I think he's probably going to start 2025 at Double A. I think based on his 30 games, 29 games at High A, and what he's done in the Arizona Fall League, I think that he's going to end up being a double A ball player to start off 2025, and he'll probably end the season in triple A, especially if his defensive ability is as solid as it has shown it can be in college last season and early and in his very small sample size at high A. He plays really well. He's a very solid defender, and he is a massive massive target over there at first base. So he should be pretty good. I think this is another kind of guy that may get stuck at in the minors for a little bit longer than anticipated, mainly because of the Royals having Pasquantino. I think I think he's really good too. So he may have a little bit of a position battle with him there, or if he's not panning out the way that the Royals quite expect, maybe he ends up getting traded for something that the Royals need a little bit more in the moment on their major league roster, like pitching, possibly. Pitching is something I believe every team needs better of. There is no room for bad pitching. And if you have the opportunity to add another good pitcher to your bullpen or to your starting rotation, I think teams need to seriously consider taking that option. Stay up to date on everything going on in the sports world by heading over to Seven Mountain Sports on Facebook, Seven Mountain Sports on X, on Instagram. We are on all of your favorite platforms, and you do not want to miss out on a single thing going on here at Seven Mountain Sports. Now we are moving into second baseman, and the number 5 ranked second baseman is James Triantos from the Chicago Cubs. ETA of 2025, also plays outfielder. And looking at all top 5 second basemen, I think that we're going to see a lot of these guys at different positions other than second base when it comes to their time on an MLB club. Starting off with James, he had a 300 batting average, 346 OBP, 133 hits, 7 home runs, and 42 RBIs across AA and AAA last season. His bat to ball skills on the right side of the plate drew comparison to Alex Bregman and David Wright when he was an amateur, and he ranked among the best in the minors. He has a tremendous feel for the barrel and rarely swings and misses. So he's very solid, also plays some outfield. So that's going to be a huge, huge help for the Cubs, especially when it comes to their need. I do think it's going to be tough for him to make the Cubs this season, mainly because of another prospect we're going to talk about later on. And the Cubs also have very capable corner outfielders. I think that's where he's going to end up playing mostly, is out in the outfield for the Cubs. But I don't know. He could end up seeing some time at second base, but it's going to be tough for him. I really think it's going to be harder for him to make the Cubs as a second baseman. He's going to need to show versatility, and he's going to need to show that that bat that he showed in the minors will show up in the MLB. I think it will. A 300 batting average is nothing to look down at. I think that's an MLB ready hitter. If you're going to hit 300 across 115 games in AA and AAA, that's a guy I think that's ready hitting wise for the MLB. He's probably going to end up rotating in on the infield when guys need a rest. He's going to play second, short, third, probably not first base, but he's also probably going to be a rotating outfielder as well. You're going to see him in left, center, and right. So I think if he ends up making the Cubs this year, he's going to play almost every position on the field throughout the season. Next up is Christian Moore, who's in the Angels system. His ETA is also 2025. And actually looking at the rest of the second baseman, they all have an ETA of 2025. Christian Moore's 22 years old. He had a 347 batting average, 400 OPS, 35 hits, 6 home runs, and 20 RBIs across A and AA last season. Very aggressive hitter from the right side of plate. He swings a lot, and he looks to do damage with bat speed, strength, and loft in his swing every single time. I think that is a great approach. He's very aggressive, has very impressive power. He's probably going to be good for 25 to 30 home runs every single year in the big leagues. So I think the Angels right now are looking for a spark to do something positive. Like, they had the best player in the MLB forever. They still have the one of the best outfielders in the MLB today. I don't understand how the Angels always fall off. I don't. I don't get it. They had Otani, they have Mike Trout, and it's just not working out. I think Christian Moore is going to see time, and it's going to be significant this upcoming season on the Angels roster, and he's going to play very, very well. And I think he's going to translate really well. I just hope that the Angels can do right by him and start bringing up some players around him that are going to be successful and help turn the organization around a little bit. Next up is Luke Keeschel out in Minnesota. His ETA is 2025. 22-year-old also plays first base and outfield, so that's going to be a big help for him. His bat is probably one of the most MLB readies that I would think across all prospects. He had a 303 batting average, 420 OBP, 115 hits, 15 home runs, and 48 RBIs. So his bat is nothing to worry about when it comes to being ready for the MLB. But a torn UCL limited him to DH duties before the decision was made to have Tommy John surgery in August. So he won't be ready to go in 2025. Um, so his ETA being 2025, not really sure where that's going to sit. I think because of this surgery and because of him being limited to DH duties, I don't foresee him making any kind of impact or having any kind of appearance on the Minnesota Twins roster this season. I don't think that's in the cards for him, unfortunately. I would enjoy seeing Luke make an MLB run, but with the surgery, I think they're going to probably leave him in AAA for this upcoming season and go from there. That'd probably be the safest option to protect your investment on this young prospect. The number two prospect at second base is Travis Bazana, who's out for the Cleveland organization, 22-year-old. Across high A, he played 27 games, a 238 batting average, a 369 OBP, 24 hits, 3 home runs, and 12 RBIs. He has a very compact left-handed swing with a quality bat speed. I think that with his decision making at the plate, it is going to be the strongest selling point for Travis to make the Guardians. At second base, maybe won't be his bread and butter yet. I don't know if second base is going to be the best spot for him, mainly because of his speed and his range. I think he's going to be best suited for Cleveland out in the outfield. Speed is very impressive. He covers ground very, very well. He has quick hands, but a little bit fringy arm arm strength at times. Very limits him from the right side of the infield. This offseason trade of 3-time Gold Glover Andre Jimenez may make it easier for him to claim second base in Cleveland. But I think with the club's depth at middle infield, it also could lead to him being in the outfield, which is why I think that the outfield might be the best spot for him to make this major league roster. I think that with the quality of players in Cleveland, I think if he starts the season in AAA and plays right center left field for probably the first 2 to 3 months and shows defensive success, he's going to get a call up very soon after that. I don't think he's going to be a September call up. I think he'll be on the Guardians by then. If we don't see him by September, I think they're going to rely on a full year of AAA development before they call him up, and he will be a fixture on the Guardians starting in 2026. And the number one prospect at second base, according to MLB Pipeline, is Christian Campbell. ETA 2025, also plays shortstop and outfield. Again, versatility for the Boston Red Sox organization. He has a 330 batting average, 439 OPS, OBP, excuse me, 142 hits, 20 home runs, 77 RBIs, all across high A, double A, and triple A. I think he looks like an entirely different hitter than he did in college, trading a bit of contact to do a little bit more damage with more aggressive right-handed power. I think it's allowing him to hit the ball a little bit harder, launch into the air a little bit more frequently. He controls the strike zone very well, handling lefties and righties, no matter where the ball is coming from in terms of release point. I think he sees the ball very well coming out of a pitcher's hand, and he puts the ball in play. He definitely did sacrifice a little bit in terms of contact, but still a 330 batting average doesn't sound like you sacrificed much in terms of contact, in my opinion. But it's all in his swing. You can see it. It's a very pure swing. I do think that he also did a lot better job of using quickness last season, stealing 24 bases in 115 games after stealing just 4 in 45 college games. But will he end up playing second base in Boston? I don't know. Maybe a little bit. I think the easiest spot for him to make this MLB roster this upcoming season is going to be in the outfield. He has shown that he can be a reliable outfielder in AAA and AA. But overall, if the uh, if the Red Sox need him to play middle infield, he will be successful as well. I do think that shortstop will be the best place for Christian Campbell long term in the Boston organization. But if they want his bat in the lineup this season and they just want to get him on the field, we'll probably end up seeing him a lot in left, center, and right for this upcoming season. Now we're moving to the shortstop position, where the number 5 ranked shortstop is San Diego Padres' Leodalis de Vieras. I think I said that correctly. But he's 18. He has an ETA of 2027. He had a very good season in A-ball last season. 237 batting average, 361 OBP, a 71 hits, 11 home runs, 38 RBIs. He's a switch hitter, so he's very versatile. He's going to have success against righties and lefties. He's going to be a guy that they want in the lineup for a long time. He has a very good knowledge of the zone. He does not have as many plate appearances as you may want for a young prospect like this, but he's 18. He's got a lot of stuff that he's going to work through. He's probably going to have an up and down year coming up here probably for the next couple seasons. I don't think he's going to be MLB ready anytime soon. Like I said, ETA 2027, that's probably going to be on par for this Padres prospect. Next up is Texas Rangers, Sebastian Walcott, 2026 ETA, 18 years old. Also plays third base, which I think is going to serve him very, very well. He had a 265 batting average, 344 OBP, 121 hits, 11 home runs, 56 RBIs across high A and double A last season. I think he's going to end up starting the season in double A and probably make a push for AAA at some point if his bat continues to improve. He's a right-handed hitter. He has thrived against other comparison in his first 2 years at pro ball, displaying very good bat speed and ability to produce elite exit velocity. Defensively, he is very, very good, but I do think he may outgrow the shortstop position. I don't know why, but I think he will. I just think he may end up growing and developing into a better third baseman for the Texas Rangers. I think that's going to end up being the position that best suits him in the long term. I don't think he's going to be a guy that gets pushed out into the outfield, but I do think by keeping him on that side of the infield and moving him over to third to make that throw across the diamond is going to be more reliable and uh, a better position for him as he grows into a more well-rounded professional ball player. Next up is Boston Red Sox Marcelo Mayer, ETA of 2025. He's 22 years old, had a 307 batting average, a 370 on base percentage, 92 hits, 8 home runs, and 38 RBIs in Double-A last season. I think this left-handed hitter is probably going to end up starting the season in Triple-A, and if his bat continues to see success, he may make a push to get onto the Boston Red Sox, probably somewhere in July. I think that'd probably be the best place for him to get called up at. He's got a lot of power. I think he could average about 20 to 25 homers per season. So like he can hit the ball like real hard. He can play really well. He has good exit velocity. I think he's a bit big for a shortstop, but I think with where his speed is at and his quick first step, it really kind of helps to compensate um, for his speed, the quick first step that is. I think he's going to be a good shortstop for the Boston Red Sox. Could he move to third base? Yeah. I think he may see a little bit more success at third base, but overall, I think he's going to be just fine at shortstop. He has the range to do it. He has the good instincts to play middle infield. Um, Overall, I think if his starts to improve as it has through Double-A, then he's going to be MLB ready by July, maybe maybe August at the latest, but 100% by September call-ups. I think Marcelo Meyer will end up being on the Boston Red Sox. Next up is the number 2 ranked shortstop in the MLB Pipeline, and that is Arizona's Jordan Lawler. His ETA is 2025. He only played 23 games last year across rookie ball, Double-A, and Triple-A. He had a 318 batting average, 417 OBP, 27 hits, 2 home runs, 20 RBIs. Thumb and hamstring injuries really limited his play last season, but he is one real fast ball player. And that's something that the Diamondbacks have everywhere. They have speed at just about every position. And I think that is very, very good for the Diamondbacks. But Lawler is a threat to steal bags a lot. He's going to steal every chance he gets, and he has shown success when it comes to stealing bags. So I really think that they're going to try to do everything they can to find an MLB spot for him in 2025. I think that the Diamondbacks are going to do everything in their power to get this 22-year-old on their roster, whether they're going to DH him or whether they're going to try him out at shortstop. They're going to do what they can to get him onto the field because that speed and bag stealing ability alone is enough to try to get a roster spot for him. And the number 1 shortstop for MLB's top prospects is Carson Williams in Tampa Bay's system. He's 21 years old. He had a 256 batting average, a 352 OBP, 111 hits, 20 home runs, 69 RBIs in Double-A last season. Believed by some to be a future pitcher, but Williams won over the Rays as a potential everyday player. So he has no doubt shortstop starting potential. I think he's very, very good. And he's one of the only guys actually that has impressed the Rays so much that they're not pushing their typical versatility mindset on him. Um, they have not entertained moving Williams at all. They just sit him at shortstop and let him do his thing. He's crushing it at shortstop, and I don't think there's a reason whether defensively at all, to move him. He has a 22 minor league Gold Glove award to his name already. Like, he's very good, very solid, and very successful at the shortstop position for the Tampa Bay Rays in their minor league system. I think he's going to end up starting the season in AAA for 2025, and I think he will end up getting called up probably in June, maybe earlier than June. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. I'm not in the front office of any of these guys, so I can't make these calls. But I think he'll be up by June at the latest for Tampa Bay, especially if his bat improves once he goes to AAA. But we'll end up seeing what happens with Carson Williams. I think he has the potential to be a multi-time Gold Glover with the Tampa Bay Rays. Next up, we move over to the hot corner. Third base, we have Cam Collier in the Cincinnati organization. He had 119 games played, had a 248 batting average, 355 OBP, 106 hits, 20 home runs, and 74 RBIs across all of last season in high A. He has an ETA of 2026 as a 20-year-old. It's pretty good. I think he's going to end up sticking around in the minor leagues for a little bit longer than that, just because he is 20 years old. He signed at age 17, and he was a first-round pick in 2022. He's been performing as one of the youngest minor league hitters every single place that he goes. He's very young. He has shown success, but I just fear that with these young guys and you call them up too fast, whether they are putting up the numbers or not, I think they just may not be entirely ready. I just want to make sure that these kids are being done right by, like he's just such a young kid, and I want him to be successful at the MLB level. I want to be successful in Cincinnati. And with last season being in high A, I think 2026 may be a little bit too soon. I would like to see a full season of success at the AAA level or even the AA level before considering putting Cam Collier on a MLB roster. Next up is Braden Taylor for Tampa Bay. He also plays second base, shortstop, and first base as well. A 250 batting average, a 365 OBP, 106 hits, 20 home runs, and 62 RBIs. Left-handed hitter. He's a good ball player. He has an ETA of 2026 as well. He's probably going to be kind of stuck a little bit. I think mainly with the other prospects Tampa has around them. There's just so many great ball players in that Tampa Bay organization that Tampa's going to be in a funky spot for a little bit. They're either going to have to call all these dudes up and put them on their MLB roster and then have a team full of young guys, or they're going to have to trade some of these dudes away. And I know that they probably don't really want to do that. But Taylor stopped playing shortstop every day with the promotion of Carson Williams, who we just talked about. And they moved Braden Taylor to third base, and he didn't miss a beat. He was perfectly fine and very compatible over at third base with his arm strength and the way that he moves. And he can be a guy that actually makes it to the MLB faster than any other Tampa prospect that we've talked about, mainly because of his versatility around the infield. First, second, short, third, he can play the whole infield, and that can be a huge advantage for an injury-riddled team, for a team that has needs anywhere. And looking at his batting statistics, they're not eye-popping, they're not the best out there, but they're reliable enough. And I think given a full season at AAA, he might be able to show you something and get the job done and fill a spot on that MLB roster that Tampa Bay may needs filled. Next up is the number 3 prospect, Cam Smith. 313 batting average across 32 games in high A and double A last season. He's with the Astros organization. His ETA is 2026. However, at 21 years old, I could see that being a bit sooner if Alex Bregman does not re-sign with the Astros. And as far as I am aware, Bregman is still out on the market. I could be wrong. I have spent the last 2 days in bed being sick, so I haven't really seen much in the world of free agency. Um, I'm feeling a little better today, but it's still rough. But either way, Cam Smith could end up seeing some MLB time this year if the Astros do not have a viable option at third base, especially if Bregman leaves town. And Cam Smith actually came into uh, came into the Astros organization as a part of the Kyle Tucker trade. Next up is the Chicago Cubs, Matt Shaw, who I definitely think right now will be seeing significant time in the MLB. He also plays second, short, and first, plays the entire infield. Very good ball player, very good at the plate as well across AA and AAA last year. He had a 284 batting average, a 379 OBP, 126 hits, 21 home runs, and 71 RBIs. He is a solid all-around ball player. Defensively, very comparable to Dustin Pedroia. I think that his aggression and discipline when it comes to his time at the plate, I think he really shows good balance. He has a lot of speed. He's very aggressive on the bases, very good instincts when it comes time to steal, very much a threat to steal. He stole 31 bases in 42 tries last season. He plays second base mostly when he was in college, but then spent 2 seasons of his pro debut mostly seeing action at third base, where he has a little bit of a below average arm. It's kind of a bit stretched from that position, but I do think through a little bit of work, he's going to be fine. I think most of the arm issues that we saw from Matt Shaw over last season at third base were more fatigue. A lot of college guys coming out aren't used to playing 100 plus game seasons. So I think it's just long season fatigue for a lot of these guys, if I'm being honest. But I think Matt Shaw is going to see time, significant time, and make the opening day roster for the Chicago Cubs. I really think he's going to be a good addition to the Cubs and put them in a position to win games and be a reliable option at third base for the Cubs. And the number one prospect at third base is Colby Mayo in the Baltimore Orioles organization. He also plays a bit of first base through high A and triple A last season. He played 93 games, a 293 batting average, 372 OBP, 105 hits, 25 home runs, and 73 RBIs. We did see him a little bit last season in Baltimore for 17 games where he had a 0.93 batting average, just 4 hits, and he had 22 strikeouts. So not the greatest start to the MLB, but it's a different game. AAA and the MLB is a big step, and that's why it's kind of hard for us to sit here and talk about these young guys like they're going to come out and be studs and they're going to be good. But I think defensively, Colby Mayo showed he was MLB ready. He just struggled a bit at the plate. That's really all it was. I think he was very reliable. I think he definitely showed that he can hang defensively at the hot corner. I think that Colby Mayo is, I don't know why I keep saying Mayer. I'm sorry. Colby Mayo is definitely an MLB ready defender. He's very capable when it comes to arm strength, when it comes to his reaction time, when it comes to his awareness on the field. He's very, very knowledgeable. And I think because of his size and the fact that Westberg was an all-star who got a lot of reps at third, this upcoming season, Mayo could continue to see more time at first. I think Colby Mayo ends up getting more looks at first base this upcoming season, and the Orioles are just going to have an unconventional first base duo at some point with Bastillo, who's the number one catching prospect, and Mayo, who's the number one third base prospect. That's not awesome. And I think that kind of shows the depth and skill that the Orioles actually have. With Adley Rutschman behind the dish, having a stud like Samuel Bastillo at catcher is just not really fair to Bastillo to have him back up Adley Rutschman. So we'll put him at first. All right. Well, we have Westberg, who's shown success at third base. So now where are we going to put Colby Mayo? First base. Well, now you have two prospects who are MLB ready players playing their secondary position. Not the best idea, in my opinion. I think there could be a better option, and it's hard. It really is hard because I think these guys are MLB players. I think they're ready to be in the MLB, and unfortunately for the Orioles and for Orioles fans, that may mean they need to get traded for prospects at positions that the Orioles actually do need help in, like possibly outfield, which is actually who we're going to be talking about next. 7MM Sports is your hub for all things Seven Mountains Media sports. You can watch the latest of Sports Talk with Steve Jones episodes. You can find what station you can listen to your favorite Penn State sports team on, and you can even get live social media updates all the time. All of these things are available along with every single show produced by Seven Mountains Sports over at 7mmsports.com. First up, we're going to be talking about the number 5 outfielding prospect, and that is Jason Dominguez, who we saw in the MLB a little bit with the Yankees last season, and he is poised to make a lot of starts, I think, this upcoming season with the New York Yankees. He played 58 games, 314 average, 376 OBP, 71 hits, 11 home runs, and 35 RBIs across A, AA, and AAA last season. 18 games, 179 average, 313 OBP, 10 hits, two home runs, and 4 RBIs in the MLB last season. I think Dominguez is in a weird spot, if I'm being honest. Last season, he really had no shot and no place to go on the Yankees with Aaron Judge out there in center. Juan Soto holding things down in right. Alex Verdugo defensively getting the job done out in left field. And then they had Trent Grisham, who was not anticipated to have as much success as he did. I think that the Yankees outfield was pretty solid last season and did not really need that much assistance. And there really was no spot for Jason Dominguez last season. They called him up for a little bit, got him some at-bats, got him some time. He also saw a little bit of time on the roster in 2023 as well. Had very similar stat lines. I think he is also in a weird position in his development. He's 21 years old. I think he actually, as much as I would love to see him in a Yankee uniform on opening day, I don't think I'm gonna. I don't. I think he's gonna end up being in AAA again, and the Yankees may start fielding offers for him. I kind of think that's what's gonna happen here. As much as I don't want that to happen, because I think he's really good. I think he's going to be a very good player. He just needs another year, and I think he needs a full year at the MLB level to get his bearings about him, because I think based on his stats last season across A, AA, AAA, he's more than He's one of the top players in the minor leagues, but he's not showing signs of success other than OBP. So he's got good vision at the plate. He's not really showing that he's like really ready, if that makes any sense. He's dominating AAA, but he's struggling at the MLB level. But he's 21. Like I think he needs to play a full season in a Yankee uniform for 2025. He's projected to, according to MLB Pipeline, his ETA is 2025. But I don't know why. I just have a feeling in my stomach Jason Dominguez is going to be in Scranton Wilkes-Barre with the Rail Riders for the beginning of 2025. I don't like that, but I just have a weird feeling about it. The number 4 outfielding prospect for MLB Pipeline is Max Clark for Detroit, ETA of 2027. He's 20 years old, very young guy, but showing success at the A and the A and high A, levels already with a 279 batting average, 372 OBP, 117 hits, 9 home runs, 75 RBIs, left-handed power hitter. He's going to be very, very good. And I think if the Tigers really focus on developing him defensively, he's going to be unbelievable and show that he is going to be a all-star level, gold glove caliber, silver slugger hitter at the MLB level. I think this kid is going to pan out for Detroit as long as they just focus and take their time with this young ball player and let him develop into the all-star that he will be. The number 3 prospect on the outfielders list for MLB Pipeline is Dylan Cruz. His ETA is 2025. He saw a good amount of time at the MLB last season with 31 games played, averaged 218 with a 288 OBP, 26 hits, 3 home runs, and 8 RBIs. I watched Dylan Cruz play quite a lot when he was in college, and he blew me away. And I knew whoever landed him in the MLB draft was going to be getting a stud. And I think he is the kind of player that is going to help turn Washington back into a winning franchise. I really do. Right-handed slugger who doesn't really pop statistically, but the hits that he does get with his speed that he has, he makes things happen on the bases, and he forces infielders and outfielders to move that ball quickly, which sometimes can result in errors. That's just how baseball works. I think Dylan Cruz is going to be a multi-time all-star, and he's going to be a gold glover at some point throughout his career, without a doubt. Next up is Walker Jenkins from Minnesota, ETA of 2026, a 19-year-old who has a 282 batting average, 394 OBP, 86 home runs, 86 hits, not home runs, excuse me. If he had 86 home runs, he'd be in the MLB yesterday. 6 home runs, 86 hits, and 58 RBIs across rookie ball, A, high A, and double A. I think he has a chance to be a September call-up this season. Very good hitter, very solid when it comes to pitch recognition and hitting the ball to all fields. He's very good at that kind of stuff. Defensively, I think he still needs a little bit of work. I would like to see him as a 19-year-old. I would like to see Minnesota keep him at AAA for the entirety of this upcoming season, just to see how he progresses with that MLB-like pitching that is at the AAA level. And the number 1 prospect for the outfield group is Roman Anthony from the Boston Red Sox. Has an ETA of 2025 as a 20-year-old, has a 291 batting average, a 396 OBP, 132 hits, 18 home runs, 65 RBIs across Double A and Triple A last year. Excuse me. And his swing decisions, his swing strength, his swing speed are all constantly making improvements. It is just getting better and better and better with every game, it seems like. He's working very, very hard, and he is showing that he is ready to wear that Red Sox uniform. He's going to be a very good ball player for Boston this upcoming season. And I really think that Roman Anthony is going to develop into a all-star, superstar, top-notch, like Aaron Judge level ball player, Shohei Ohtani level ball player. He's going to develop really well because he shows that he can learn, he shows that he can make adjustments, and he shows that he loves playing baseball. That is the kind of player that I want to see. Now, and when I do see him in a Boston Red Sox uniform on the field or in the lineup against the Yankees, I'm going to hope that he has a very bad game because I'm a Yankee fan. That's just what I'm going to do because my fandom is going to take over. But I do think that Roman Anthony is going to be an unbelievable outfielding stud for years to come for the Boston Red Sox. Next up, we are going to dive into some pitchers. Yes, pitchers. Now, before we dive into pitching, pitchers, I think, are the most difficult prospects to manage, control, and develop, if that makes sense. I think that when it comes to developing a pitcher, you have to really work on a lot more than just what's in the arsenal, pitch, uh, like spin rates. It's a lot more complex, and there's a lot more to go on with it. So instead of running through the top 10 pitching prospects, we're just going to go over a couple that I think are interesting. And there's something else there that's just a little different with these pitchers. Like, for example, the number one left-handed pitching prospect is Noah Schultz for the Chicago White Sox. His ETA is for 2025, and he's 6'9". 6'9". He is unbelievable, and he throws with a low three-quarter arm slot. He creates exceptional horizontal movement on a wipeout slider that continues to gain velocity, now sitting in the lower 80s, reaching up to 88 miles per hour. He also boosted his fastball from 89 to 92 miles per hour. Now it peaks out around 99 as a pro, which is unbelievable. He blows four seamers by hitters all the time that go up in the strike zone. He doesn't miss many bats when he tries to sink heavy two-seamers, but he does generate a lot of ground balls, which is what you want from a left-handed arm. He also does a very nice job honing an upper 80s changeup, which is solid. It can get a bit firm, but it does have a solid offering that fades in and opposite direction from the slider. So I think Noah Schultz is going to be unbelievable. He started 23 games, pitched 88 and a one-third innings, had a 2.24 ERA, 115 Ks, only had 4 losses put onto that record. But overall, absolute stud. And I really think Noah Schultz is going to be an effective addition, either as a long reliever or as a starter to the White Sox rotation. Next up, we have Bubba Chandler, who's a Pirates prospect, has an ETA of 2025 at 22 years old, 26 games, 23 games started, one save in one of the 3 games he didn't start. 119.2 innings pitched, a 3.08 ERA, 148 Ks, 10 wins, 7 losses. Bubba Chandler, I think, is one of the guys that surprised me the most with his player development. Because when he was drafted in 2021, he was drafted as a two-way player, planning to play second base and pitch. His bat was very valuable, like, really, really valuable. Like, I really thought Bubba Chandler was going to be told to stop pitching. That's where I thought it was going to end up going. He was going to be told to stop pitching because his hitting ability was in the plus on every metric. But that's not the road they went down. And I think that they decided to stick with Bubba Chandler as a pitcher rather than at second base or shortstop as a middle infielder because of O'Neal Cruz and Tamar Johnson also being in the system at second base. So now, and Nick Gonzalez has even shown that he can be a very good addition to the Pirates on the second base position as well. I think the Pirates just have too many middle infielders. Maybe not bona fide number one studs like O'Neal Cruz is, but I think that the Pirates just have too much depth when it comes to MLB level play at the middle infield levels, which is why he decided, or the organization decided, to keep Bubba Chandler on the mound. But through AA and AAA, he showed that he is very, very good. And I think maybe with a year in the bullpen at 2020 for 2025, put Bubba Chandler in the bullpen this season and let him work out some kinks, maybe not have him on a regular rotation, make him a long reliever. I think that would be the best option for Bubba Chandler going into 2025, especially with Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and Thomas Harrington all being absolutely dominant and being able to help Bubba Chandler reach his peak height at the MLB level. I think he's going to be a very good long reliever right now, with the potential to get himself into the starting rotation. Next up is Andrew Painter for the Philadelphia Phillies. Solid guy. He missed a lot of time recently due to a number of injuries, but in 2022, he pitched 103 innings, had a 1.56 ERA. He was flying, absolutely flying up the minor league levels and dominating at every stop of the way. But unfortunately, injuries halted that progress. But I believe that he is all good, all rehabbed, and he will be back. And he will play for the Phillies this season. I think he's going to find a spot on that MLB roster for opening day. And our final prospect is the number one right-handed pitching prospect, and that is Jackson Jobe. He has an ETA of 2025 with a 21-game start, a 2.36 ERA, 91.2 innings pitched, 96 Ks, 5 wins and 3 losses across high A, double A, and triple A. And in 4 innings pitched in 2 games, he had 2 Ks in the MLB. The 6'2" righty grabbed headlines when he touched 101.8 miles per hour in spring training back in March, which was the highest velocity recorded by StatCast during 2024 spring training. Jackson Jobe throws the ball really, really hard. And he throws it with such accuracy that he gets a lot of swing and miss. His four-seamer remains a stellar pitch, typically sitting 95 to 97 with strong rise and run metrics. He can still get it up to about 99, 100 miles an hour as he did during the postseason. But his 81 to 84 mile an hour slider can be a spin monster, averaging around 2,900 RPMs with ample sweep as well. So he's got tons of stuff that'll just getcha. He also has an 88 to 91 mile an hour cutter with sharp bridge pitch, and it picked up in late 2022 as his changer, which which jumped up to a split like grip and now runs a little more arm side with lots of separation from the heater to make it another plus pitch. I think that Jackson Job is going to end up making the Tigers starting rotation in spring training. He's shown in last spring training and in his time in the MLB last season, though it was short, he is going to be effective. Is he going to make a long relief spot? No. I think he's going to make the rotation. If he doesn't make the Tigers starting rotation, he's going to start the season in AAA again. I don't want that to happen. I think Jackson Job's MLB ready. He has a lot of fast, hard fastballs and a lot of good spin on his slider and his changeup and his cutter. Like he throws a lot of very good pitches and he throws them effectively and he gets a lot of swing and miss. So I really think if Jackson Job is going to go back to AAA, the Tigers probably need to start hearing offers for him because he needs to be starting somewhere. And if they're just going to sit him in the minors, they're going to waste him. I think that's where Jackson Job is right now. He's ready to be a rotation guy somewhere. Is he going to be at the top of the rotation? No, probably not. I think he could be the fifth starter or maybe a sixth starter if Detroit wants to run a six-man starting rotation, which is not recommended, if I'm being honest, but it could help get your ace an extra day rest if needed, depending on where the schedule might fall. Jackson Job could be the guy that fills in and takes that kind of a spot in a Tigers rotation. But we'll see when all of these amazing ball players end up seeing time in the MLB. Hopefully it is sooner than projected because these guys are all a lot of fun to watch. I love going to minor league ball games and seeing these guys perform their absolute best, and it is definitely a lot of fun. I encourage everyone to go watch minor league ball games just because the atmosphere is so great, but you are also watching the future stars of the MLB. It is so great and it is a blast. I absolutely love it. So, thank you all very much for listening to this episode of Scorebook Stories. I promise I will not be sick for the next one when we start to dive into this absolute wild and crazy MLB offseason.